Of course, the wind picks up the moment I want to start recording. I drove all the way here and realized I forgot the SD card for the camera, so I had to pull one out of my microphone, which means I'm using my phone as my microphone. Yeah, the audio is going to be not great because of that. Ah, yes, a video where I actually gather my thoughts, put some effort into it. Don't you want to know more about this car? You don't? Oh, okay. This is my 1987 Porsche 924S, finished in Guards Red with the 15-inch phone dial wheels. It has a 5-speed manual transmission hooked up to 2.5-liter inline 4, pushing out a whopping 148 horsepower. At least it did in 1987. 1987 was 38 years ago. Do you feel old yet? I don't. I wasn't even alive back then. Over the years, this car has racked up 140,000 miles and 3 previous owners. It was originally leased for about $24,000, which is $70,000 today. From what I could tell, it was owned by one guy who drove it frequently until 2013. It sat until 2024 when it was sold to the second owner in a non-running condition for 1,000 buckaroos. He fixed it up, sold it to owner number 3, who had it for about less than 6 months before selling it on. That's not a red flag. I found it on Facebook Marketplace and it immediately caught my eye. I met the seller, took it for a spin, and immediately fell in love. It was very obvious it needed a lot of TLC, and at the price the seller was asking, I just couldn't do it. I left empty-handed, feeling a little disappointed, but confident that I made the right decision. The car was just too rough, had limited paperwork, and was too expensive. But you may ask, if you didn't buy the car, why are you standing right in front of it? And to that I say, excellent question. When I went to sleep that night, I just dreamt about trying to buy this car over and over. You know, usually my dreams are random, but this car was in all of them. The seller was in all of them, and in all of them I was trying to figure out a way to buy the car. So when I woke up, I knew one way or another I was gonna end up with this car. And a couple weeks later, while I'm on Marketplace looking for other potential project cars, I saw the price went down by 500 bucks, and after a bit of negotiation, I picked up this car for $5,500. It was a little over my budget of $5,000, and I feel like I should have bought it for closer to $4,500, but it was the right car at the right time, and I was willing to pay a little bit more for that. Almost 40 years after it was first sold, I find this 924S is still serving its intended purpose. It is the cheapest way to get into a Porsche, and to me, it is also serving as an introduction to rear-wheel drive cars and restoring cars. In my last video, I did an inspection on the car, and since purchasing it, I've put about 1,000 miles on it. It has never broken down, but there are plenty of issues that have been brought to light. Let's start off with some engine issues. We got a mystery tick. Is it top end noise? Is it an exhaust leak? I don't really know. For another part of this video, I put a microphone in the engine bay to do some recording, and it sounds expensive. Doesn't sound good for my wallet. That will be a later problem. Jesse, the framing, Jesse, don't do it. We have an exhaust leak. I'm hoping this is the source of that noise. The exhaust manifolds on this car are prone to cracking. I'm going to completely ignore the fact that the sound sounds like it's coming from up here and not down there. Whether or not the manifolds are cracked, there's an exhaust leak somewhere in the engine bay, and I can't turn on the heater because it just pumps exhaust fumes straight into the cabin. Keeping the windows down also lets a lot of exhaust fumes in, and all of my clothing smells like exhaust after I'm done driving this car. I do have a second set of headers that came with the car, but they don't look to be in particularly good condition. so I don't know if they're cracked or not. I haven't looked at them in detail. We also have a mystery wine. I don't know if it's alternator, probably not water pump because that was just replaced, or some sort of accessory bearing in there. Kind of sounds like the car is supercharged. It's not. That will be something I look into fixing sooner because maybe it's easy. It also feels like it's down on power. I know this car doesn't have a lot of power from the factory, but it just, it feels like it's extra not quite there. Now, that's expected after 40 years and 140,000 miles, I suppose. My only test has been a 0 to 60 run, so I guess I'll show that now. It stinks really bad when you put your foot down. I don't know if it's just because there's no catalytic converter on this car, combined with the exhaust leaks, or is it running lean? Not sure. Anyway, you put it, a tune-up can't hurt. Also, it runs pretty hot when you're at a standstill, but the radiator in this car is pretty small, and the intake for the radiator is also pretty small. So maybe it's that. It does cool down when you get moving though. Right front. Do you mean left front? Moving on to drivetrain issues. This hub is pretty wobbly. I don't know if that's just bearings. We'll fix it. The brakes, they work really well, but all the rotors and pads are really worn out. And out back, the parking brake barely grips. Like I can push the car when the parking brake's engaged. The torque tube, I'm getting a good amount of weird vibrations when I'm driving this car. There's no guarantee that that's actually the problem, but with 140,000 miles and no record of the torque tube bearings ever being replaced, that's something we gotta do. The clutch, it works, but as far as I can tell, the rubber damper is worn out or broken, resulting in very smooth power delivery. Come on, you can do it. There we go. The cabin fills with very strong gas fumes after I fill the tank, even at just half full, and also when I take turns at speed. I have not seen any leaks. The smell is very intense though. Ow. I've been told that these fuel lines can fail, resulting in a fire. More low effort post-production me, I realize that they probably mean the ones that go that way on the 944, and mine go that way, but like close enough. Visually, they look fine, but I'd rather be safe than sorry because again, I don't have any record of them being replaced. Now, I do have a fire extinguisher. Ooh, fancy. But I'd rather not have to use it. The paint, it sucks. It looks really good on camera, and from further away it's nice, but it's faded, it's chipped, and it's peeling. I can scrape it off with my fingernails. Yummy paint chips, lead-free. The body just has a lot of dents and scratches. I don't think it's been in any major accidents, but yeah. Also, all of the exterior plastics and rubbers are in the process of falling apart, and if I do this enough, well, my fingers will turn black. Happy door, sad door. The wheels and tires, wheels, very crusty looking. The tires are $60 Walmart specials. They were leaking considerably when I started driving the car, but as I've driven around more, that leaking has all but stopped. I'm really not sure how that works, but I will take it. I have looked into replacing them, but there's really not much in terms of performance-focused tires at this size. There's like one summer tire that's $400 a corner. No. The glass overall is in okay condition. There are some scratches and chips. Most of the scratches, unfortunately, are on the back glass. This also has the classic issue of trying to separate itself from the frame because the struts run that way, and over the years, it just slowly pulls it that way. This is apparently really difficult to fix, but it's not leaking, and I'm not really gonna touch it. Apparently it's in a really expensive piece, and while I have seen a 944 rear hatch on Marketplace for $150, the real challenge would be finding one for this car. It has the third brake light and the shorter 924S spoiler. Another major question is, how much rust is on the car? And surprisingly, there's not really much at all. It seems like this car has lived outside for quite a while by the way the paint looks, but there's really not much rust anywhere. There's a little bit on some of the inside hardware since there are some leaks. Suspension? Yes. It's very worn. The bushings apparently have been replaced over time. However, I don't really trust that very much. The front sway bar has different bushings on either side, and both of them are wrong. The shocks need to be replaced with something actually decent. And while I'm at it, I think I might lower it by a couple inches and get some camber in there, you know? No, I'm kidding. Excuse the sudden change in quality, but the big camera won't work very well in here, and this one's kind of old. On the interior, the dashboard is cracked, which is apparently a very common issue for this car. The radio is not original, which really isn't a big deal, but I kind of want the cassette player. The antenna for this car is missing, and this radio gets terrible reception. We have the shifter. Goodness, it is so bright outside. I am so sorry. It is leather wrapped, kind of worn. It's a shift knob, you know. Wait a minute. That's not neutral. That's neutral. Yeah, the linkages and bushings might be a little worn out. The air conditioning does not work. The speedometer reads about 10% high. In the cold, it will also click and the needle will move around. Something's wrong in there with the speedometer cable. The tachometer will work, but sometimes it reads really high for no reason. There's also a little shift light in there, which rarely works. The oil gauge works. However, a lot of times it's just at maximum, and other times it's at like 2 bar. So I don't know what's going on there. The turn signals and the window switches can move the temperature gauge when the car is hot. I'm not really sure how that works. Also, the bulbs behind the gauges, some of them are burnt out. At first they were really dim, and I thought that was an issue, but it turns out that's a feature, not a bug. So apparently a lot of this is caused by leaks getting into the fuse box and causing corrosion. I haven't looked in detail yet. Electrical is where I have the least amount of experience. I was going to tackle it early on to fix the turn signals, but those fixed themselves when I bought the car. This, to me, is all very scary looking. Inside, we have leaks, but not from anywhere obvious. My guess would be clogged sunroof drains, or the drains have fallen apart over time. I have not seen any visible leaks, but it could be coming down behind the trim. I have already come across some sunroof drains that were improperly routed, and it has made the seat rails rust, and I'm a little scared to go under the carpet and look. There are some other little things I haven't mentioned, and there are surely more things that will pop up over time as I work on the car. Despite the age and mileage, it does seem to be pretty original and pretty solid. At least that's my impression right now. As for upgrades or modifications, I don't really have any in mind. I do want to make a custom exhaust, but it needs to be replaced, and I want to take that opportunity to learn how to make one. I do plan on keeping it similar in appearance and sound to the stock system because I think it sounds really nice. Yo, sorry for the bad audio in this next segment. The phone microphone decided to not work great, and it has not been a month since I filmed the last part. I didn't get a haircut. You're just schizophrenic. Go get help. I think it would be wise to tackle the fuel tank first. I'm not really comfortable driving it around with the amount of fumes I smell coming from it, and it's probably not too hard to drop the fuel tank and figure out what's going on. I'm sure it needs to be cleaned anyways. Remove the transmission to drop the fuel tank? What the fuck? I think it would be wise to tackle the brakes first. Those are very important, and I'd like to replace all the worn out parts. It would also give me the chance to replace the wheel bearings, adjust the parking brake, and fix that wobbly, driver's side front hub. That's good enough. That's like take number 6. I'm new to this stuff. I'm not the most experienced at working on cars, and I haven't made videos before. So if you have any advice or things you think I could be doing better, even if it seems obvious, let me know, because it might not be super obvious to me. I do appreciate the people who have shown their support by liking and subscribing, because even the small amounts of those I've received so far is much greater than what I was expecting. Whoa, look at that. 10 valuable individuals have subscribed to my channel. Anywho's, I'm Turner, you're watching Direct Injected Dopamine, and until the next one, I'm heading out. Ooh. Hey, more low effort post-production me, but it might be a little bit before the next video working on the car comes out. Even more low effort post-production things, but yeah, I have ideas for shorter form content that's not working on a car, but might still be entertaining, so we'll see where that goes. Because I've been spending my money on other things like Christmas gifts and now cats, because I'm adopting cats. My last cat since like July, he's been sitting on a box and not moving, and it's gotten really boring, and like I'm lonely and I'm sad, so